Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 16 of the OutLoud Culture Podcast. My name is Alex Shannon, and this week we are not talking about Batman vs. Superman because we don't have enough people for it. This week, we're talking about the second season of Marvel's Netflix series Daredevil.
What's going on, everyone? I'm Alexander Trevini, and I love the show Daredevil. It is great. But you already knew that if you've seen the show. So, let's get on to it. Alex, what did you think of Daredevil Season 2?
Well, Hallway Scene 2.0, although more like entire building scene this time around, spoiler alert.
Yeah. I loved it. It's great. It's awesome. It's become my favorite show on Netflix now. House of Cards has now become Season 2. It's dethroned it. It is awesome. There is great performances. It is awesome. There are great characters. It is awesome, and you should totally watch it. Did I mention it's awesome?
Yep. I'm kind of disappointed that they haven't come out with the DVDs and Blu-rays yet for Season 1. It's been over a year now, and...
Well, they haven't come out with DVDs for House of Cards either, so I don't see that happening anytime soon.
House of Cards is on DVD. Isn't
it is?
Yeah, I mean, let me look this up, but I think the first season of House of Cards is at the library. Around here. Okay, Chrome, respond. House of
DVD.
Cards.
I'm saying, oh wait, I think I see it, yeah. Yeah, I see it, never mind.
Okay, yeah. Because they do release them on DVD. It's like how HBO releases stuff on DVD and Blu-ray as well. Even though they've got their own streaming service.
I mean, I don't have HBO. I haven't seen Game of Thrones, so... Anyways, let's get Anyways, with Daredevil Season 2, how does it hold up to Season 1?
I think it's much better. It doesn't have any of the... Because the first season of Daredevil had a couple of moments that I feel were like missed opportunities. And I wrote about this in my review where I said that, the sniper scene in the building?
Oh, yeah, the sniper. Like, I remember you writing about that. I saw that in your review. The sniper scene, I thought, is this guy Bullseye? I was thinking... Maybe this guy could be Bullseye, but he just kind of disappears and we never hear from him again.
Yeah, I was thinking it either needs to be Bullseye or the Punisher.
Nah, not Punisher, because he's working for D'Onofrio, remember?
No, you see, the idea that I had was that they could find the actual sniper dead with a skull painted on his chest and blood, and... the only guys that would have been taken out would have been the corrupt cops.
Oh, I see. That works, yeah.
Yeah, and that... I sort of felt like that was a missed opportunity, because they mentioned... They mentioned, like, a gun battle at one point in Daredevil, and I was thinking, are they going to be mentioning the Punisher now? But no, they just sort of mentioned it and then never brought it up again, and then... I'm not...
You're breaking up.
What was the last thing you heard?
Gun battle,
Okay, they mentioned a gun battle, and it was never brought up again. And I was thinking that they probably should have had, like, some mention of the Punisher at that point. But, while I'm not exactly a religious follower of the Chekhov's gun school of storytelling, I think that they need to have, like, false flags and whatnot in the story so that it always keeps you guessing, and so that it's like something happens, it won't necessarily turn out to be something later on, and so that people don't automatically think that everything is immediately significant.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, but again, there are some things where they should have had another touch or something. For instance, when, the thing that preceded the hallway scene in Daredevil Season 1 was where, he got beaten up by those guys as in Left 4 Dead. I think they should have shown that because, Daredevil.
I would have loved to see that.
Yeah, he's beaten his way through most of the people so far, and it would just
now he's
make
in a dumpster. Then Rosario Dawson saves him.
Yeah, and if, for instance, he, it gives more of a. It gives it more credibility when he actually goes ahead and takes them down later on, because not more credibility, but it makes it more awesome,
Oh yeah, it would. That hallway scene in season 1 was great. And then remember when season 2 its own hallway fight scene started?
Yeah.
Remember he's holding the guy hostage. That he tells the old Marine to get back in his apartment room, throws the guy away, pulls the trigger on the gun, and you see him like he goes, and he smiles. That it's about to happen. I was thinking, oh, this is it, isn't it? And then he starts fighting. Yes, this is the hallway fight scene. And as it's playing, I did not think they could get it. They could make it be as good as season 1's hallway scene, but they did. It was great.
One continuous take, an entire building, like wave upon wave of bad guys. There was that apparently took 3 days to plan out, and it required 11 stuntmen and to be rushing around throughout the entire set so that they could get, because they only had like 11 stuntmen and they had to have them come down and be beaten up again.
Yeah, that was amazing, and that wasn't Charlie Cox being the Daredevil suit. I think that was like the stunt guy. I'm trying to remember his name.
Yeah, I've got the name somewhere around here. I know what is.
Yeah, hang on. I know he's here. They mentioned him when they were talking about where to put the Billy Club on his on his side.
Yeah, because the stuntman
and Charlie Cox are both right-handed,
yeah.
but the
Billy Club's
on Daredevil's left costume. They had a thing about that. Okay, let's just move on.
The thing is, the stuntman looks so much like Charlie Cox in those scenes that.
Oh, he does. He does. That's impressive too. How the stuntmen actually kind of look like him. Because the only time I've seen a stuntman actually look like the guy they're portraying is there's this scene in Terminator 2 where Arnold's on the bike chasing the T-1000 and John Connor on John Connor.
Chris Brewster is the stunt double.
Right, Chris Brewster. So the scene is like the T-800. Arnold is on the motorcycle chasing after the T-1000 to protect him from John Connor. He's coming down like this huge jump before the motorcycle lands down on the thing. That's a guy who's a stunt double, of course. It's not Arnold, but he's very good at looking. He does somewhat look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Cool.
The next stunt double you see, however, during the chase scene when he grabs John Connor off his motorcycle, doesn't look anything like Arnold.
That's one of the issues with HD. It's like the stunt doubles they had for William Shatner and what's his name, the guy who played Khan in the original Star Trek.
Khan. Yeah.
Because on the TV version of that, you could tell that they didn't look anything like them.
Yeah, that's part of it. Anyways, season 2 starts off with Daredevil proving he's still a badass with a fight scene in a church. Then we get Frank Castle murdering the higher ups of the Irish Mafia. Then we get a sole survivor asking Murdoch and Nelson for protection. He's in a hospital because gunshot wound. Bernthal shows. Then he shows up, the Punisher, and John Bernthal is perfect as the Punisher.
Yep.
He's great. Have you seen the Thomas Jane Punisher movie?
I haven't seen it, but I've seen stills from it. It's
It's
really hard to tell which one I like better as the Punisher.
the movie's on Netflix. You should check it out. And
Hmm.
Thomas Jane was great. He was perfect as the Punisher, and so was John Bernthal. I still have a tough time choosing between Jane and Bernthal, and Jane actually trained with Navy SEALs to prepare for the role. And keep in mind, in the movie, they don't just murder Castle's wife and kids. No, no, no. They go after the whole family. His parents, his cousins, his brother and his nieces and nephews. They go after everyone.
Wow, that's quite a lot there.
And guess who the mob boss is in that movie?
Fisk.
No, it's not Fisk. It's a different guy. Some generic mob boss name. He's played by John Travolta.
Oh!
Yep, John Travolta's the mob boss. Do I need to say how awesome? Do I need to say how awesome that is?
Nope. That is cool.
They also have Mystique and Iceman show up in the movie too. Like
Like the
Rebecca
actual
Romijn
characters.
No. Rebecca Romijn and Ben Foster in the movie. That's Angel, my mistake. Angel, not
Yeah, I
Iceman.
was gonna say.
Angel.
Yeah,
Angel from X-Men 3, remember?
Yeah, I know.
Angel. He's given more to do in this movie than in X-Men 3, though.
Good. It's not the actual characters, though.
Yeah, and the actor who's good at acting is given a role that he can actually act in. Take note, Brett Ratner. Don't waste good actors like Ben Foster.
Hang on.
Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, I heard it. It's just that. Cast.
Take note, Brett Ratner. Do not waste good actors in roles where they do essentially nothing when you have good actors like Ben Foster. I mean, it's far from perfect, the 2004 Thomas Jane Punisher movie, but it's a solid story, a solid cast, and then they do great with what they got. Great performances in that movie.
Oh, Diesel was in the Thomas Jane Punisher movie.
Vin Diesel?
No, Diesel. Kevin Scott Nash.
Oh.
The
You heard
wrestler.
what I said. You heard what I just said before, right?
Yeah. I was like, is that?
And there's Kevin Scott Nash. I think he was the Russian Waldo.
Yeah,
guy.
he was the Russian. I was like, is that the Kevin Nash? Yes, it is.
Yeah, he's the Russian Waldo because he's got a Waldo T-shirt on him. Where's the Russian?
Apparently, Thomas Jane turned down the role of the Punisher twice. Huh.
Oh yeah, he did. Like he was offered it at first, but he didn't turn it down because he wasn't like into comic books. He didn't know anything about the character. The second time, he turned it down again. The third time, they actually showed him like images from the Punisher set, from concept art. Then he grew interested, and he started to research the character of the Punisher. And he learned he was like different from the typical comic book hero. He's more of an anti-hero. He's brutal, and that resonated with Thomas Jane. That resonated with him, and he went up for the role. Avi Arad actually, he chose Jane specifically. So Avi Arad is still good for something.
See now,
besides screwing up Spider-Man.
The Punisher is more like the kind of hero that you need, because he was basically
especially when you have like a 1970s pre-Frank Serpico NYPD.
Yeah, and also, he's just the kind of hero you need in general, because for some reason, and a lot of the heroes have an aversion into killing people.
I mean, I don't mind that they have an aversion to killing. I can see why. I don't mind the Punisher either. As long as you get the job done, that's fine with me. That's my philosophy.
Well, to a certain extent, yes, but on the other hand,
someone like the Joker, I cannot believe it. But with someone like Harley Quinn, I get why you don't kill her.
Well, the thing is, Batman doesn't try killing the Joker anymore because nobody can kill the Joker.
Actually, I thought that was with Lobo, because Lobo, he died, but he was too much for hell to handle. So they sent him to heaven, but he was too much for them. So
they sent him back.
They sent him back to Earth. He's immortal by default. Danny Trejo would be a good Lobo, mind you. But enough about that. Can I just say how impressive it is they set up New York? Because it really looks, when Daredevil was written, Hell's Kitchen today is nothing like Hell's Kitchen when Daredevil was first written. So the fact that they got New York to look a lot like 1970s corrupt NYPD when Daredevil was written, Hell's Kitchen, that's impressive in of its own.
Yeah, I'm looking at Hell's Kitchen right now, and it looks it looks a bit too slick.
Kitchen. I know, Hell's Kitchen's actually a pretty clean place. I've been there. It's a really nice place. They got good restaurants. There's some pretty nice people. It's a surprisingly civil place, despite its name. There's much more dangerous areas of New York than Hell's Kitchen, I guarantee. But this is... then we'd have to put Daredevil somewhere else, so...
And then it wouldn't make much sense for him to have his name, because, he is the devil of Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, okay. Hell's Kitchen is basically his home turf, so we can't have that, of course. Anyways, Bernthal is great. Remember when he captures and chains Daredevil?
Yeah, that was straight out of the comics, too.
Yeah, and I love that scene because, why didn't you take off my mask? Because I don't give a shit who you are. I love that. That fits Castle's character perfectly. He doesn't care so long as he gets the job done.
Yeah. And
I think you're a half measure. I think you're just scared to finish the job. And can I say how Bernthal really sounds it? He's so into it. He's perfect.
I like how this is a complete turn from what his character was on The Walking Dead, because...
what was he like in The Walking Dead? I haven't seen it.
He played Shane on The Walking Dead, and he was a bit of an egotistical jerk, power-hungry asshole. And in real life, he's like this jovial, kind of guy. And
oh yeah, because the actors are always different from who they portray on screen.
Yeah,
of course.
And as the Punisher, he's the Punisher.
Oh yeah, he is the Punisher. He is Frank Castle. And anyways, Bernthal, I haven't seen The Walking Dead, honestly. It's overrated to me. I think it's a show of a bunch of idiots being idiots during an apocalypse and somehow surviving, while the ones who try to do intelligent things keep dying for some reason.
Yeah, trust me, the show is not as good as the comics are.
Yeah, and I have some friends back home there. He's a huge Walking Dead fanboy. He even got some of his stuff signed by the cast, like Norman Reedus and all that. So, anyways, Frank Castle, little known fact, his real name is Francis Castiglione. It's Italian. Castiglione, obviously, it's like castle, like defender of the castle, something like that. He changed it to Frank Castle either during his service in Vietnam in the comics, or right after his family got murdered in the crossfire of a mob hit. It's either that or Marvel was hit with some garbage racism accusations against us Italian Americans, and that's just nonsense to me.
You can't,
because he's racist. He's Italian. He's Italian and he's murdering people. He's called the Punisher. His whole shtick is murdering criminals. That's his shtick. And they say he's racism, because he's going into all these Irish neighborhoods, going after Irish mafia. What? How is?
Newsflash.
If you're gonna hunt the Irish mafia, you go into Irish neighborhoods.
Right.
If you're gonna hunt the Italian mafia, you go into Italian neighborhoods. I mean, my neighborhood back in
You want to hunt the Yakuza, you go into
to Japanese
neighborhoods, the triads, Chinese ones.
Yeah, and my neighborhood, it is filled with a lot of those guys. There are a lot of it.
You got.
There are a lot of retired or current mafioso around my neighborhood. One of my neighbors, he was an elderly man. He died last year. He used to work for the mob. He was an Italian gang mobster.
Alex, am I going to have to edit this out or what?
No, he's dead. Relax. And they don't hang around my neighborhood. It's basically my neighborhood's basically a retirement home place. I'm one of the few people my age in that neighborhood.
Okay, well. Anyways.
I was
gonna say
in
that
he's based off like Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver from Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver. A lot, they say.
see, I don't really see that.
Well, I haven't seen Taxi Driver, so I don't know. Maybe it's the haircut, I guess. But how fun would it be to have Robert De Niro as a mobster in Daredevil?
That would be awesome. I mean, it would pretty much be just full of Untouchables references at that point, because then you just got to get Kevin Costner in,
and Sean Connery if
yeah.
you could get him out of retirement. And if you can get Robert De Niro to care about acting again, so, imagine that.
Yeah.
So,
I was just gonna bring up the one big issue I've got with Daredevil season 2 is that the Punisher's origin happens off camera, and we have to be told it. Although it does help to make the Punisher more of a force of nature.
What was that?
It does sort of help to make the Punisher like a force of nature almost.
Yeah, I know why they did it, and I understand it. Like, they want to say how someone like this, it could happen to anyone, because like he is a force of nature in a way. I think they wanted to get us quickly to who he is, because they still need to keep the show focused on Daredevil, mind you, because the show is called Daredevil. Otherwise, Daredevil, and it's
and if you focus too much on characters other than Daredevil, we know how that turns out.
Yeah, and we don't need to see it. I don't think we just say his wife and kids got killed. Like that's fine with me. That's fine with me.
If they do go into a Punisher series on Netflix,
I'd love that.
Yeah, I'd say that they'd have to start out with the origin. It wouldn't have to take up much because we've seen most of it in Daredevil. But just have the actual events of the origin happen in like the first episode or like the first 10 minutes of the first episode, and then cut to the aftermath.
What I think is that they should have him, like, while he's on his journey, he constantly flashbacks to events of his family lifetime, kind of like what they do on Arrow with Oliver on the island. You know?
See, I was gonna say that got real irritating around season 3 when they started. Middle of season 2 and season 3 when they started contradicting things that had been established in the series previously. I say that they should just establish the backstory straight out, and then get into the meat of the series. Because that way you don't have any of this stuff where the character isn't learning things at the right point in time.
I don't know, because the one hand, when people watch the show called The Punisher about the character, they want to see him go do detective work and murder all the crooks he can find. They don't want to focus too much on his personal issues. Like that's kind of why the Thomas Jane movie is good. You get it out of the way quickly. Like Castle's a former FBI agent in that movie.
Well, that's why I said it can take like 10, 15 minutes at most if they edit it right. Because it's basically just, he comes back from the war, or in Iraq or Afghanistan, and he has he goes over there, he comes back, like he's got a happy family life for a while, and then the mob hit happens, and then, all the stuff that they mentioned in Daredevil happens, and then it flashes forward.
He said it happened, he said the hit happened the day after he came back, though.
Okay, then that wouldn't take up too much time then. And I think maybe like the bulk of the origin would then be, whatever he was doing before he went into the military and whatever, and the stuff that happened leading up to Daredevil. I mean, as long as they plan out what they need to have happen between the origin and the start of Daredevil season 2, then I guess that you could do it the way you said.
Yeah, and I was thinking flashbacks because keep in mind, Microchip, right?
Is that a movie?
No, Microchip. He's a partner of Daredevil. He's basically like the arms supplier and tech wizard for Punisher. I'm thinking through the flashbacks, you can establish Frank and Microchip's relationship back when back when Frank was in the military. Like maybe Microchip was in his unit or a friend of his in the NSA or something.
Okay, you see.
Or maybe Microchip is part of the NSA during the season, and he's been assigned to track down the Punisher character. As he slowly finds out more about him, he becomes fascinated by the Punisher. He wants to join the Punisher, and he secretly, while inside the NSA, starts to feed information to the Punisher about certain mobs or terrorists or criminals or whoever to the Punisher, so he can go out and take him down.
That's actually not a bad idea. I guess great minds must think alike, because I actually had a similar idea about something else a while back.
In the comics, they're both on their own. The Microchip and Punisher are on their own. Like Microchip could be the hacking NSA guy for him, secretly working within the NSA because of their New York division, of course, because that's where the Punisher is.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, like Frank could establish relations with an arms dealer or whoever in New York, maybe outside of Hell's Kitchen. So he finds this gun shop owner. He's being ransacked by some corrupt cops or mafia or whoever. He takes him down because he was going into the store to buy some guns. Then the mob's got, hey, I know you. You're that Punisher guy. You can be killing people. Hey, Bill, dude, I'm totally admire you. We can work together. I can give you weapons and such.
That sounds like a pretty cool idea. It's just a shame that they haven't greenlit a Punisher series yet.
And yeah, and maybe there's some people who are inspired by his actions too, and try to do the same thing as him. And we could explore how Castle thinks about that. Castle could either be against it because his war is his own thing, or he tries to,
he tries to do the Batman thing and recruit sidekicks.
Or he's against them because a bunch of damn kids know nothing about war. I'm gonna make him stay out of this for good. Like he doesn't kill them, but he basically beats into their head to stay out of this because they're a bunch of stupid kids who know nothing about guns.
See, that would actually be that would be pretty good. But if he had if something no, just full stop. That's it. Full stop. That's what needs to happen.
What? Full stop?
Yeah, full stop. That's what needs to happen.
Like what I said about beating it into the kids' heads.
Yeah, because I don't think it could. I don't think it could go down any good way. Hey, with him having a sidekick.
Yeah, because remember what he said to Karen Page in the diner. I know, pulled out a 380. That's just experience. People don't know shit about guns. They bring out some big, huge revolver or hand cannon that they never actually use. That'll hit them in the face because they don't know how to use it properly.
Yep.
Because remember in Pulp Fiction, you didn't tell us about that guy with the damn hand cannon.
It's like what Big Boss said to Revolver Ocelot in Metal Gear Solid 3.
Oh yeah, the whole engravings thing.
Yeah, it's like okay, this
funny
doesn't.
Thing, Ocelot actually said that to one of the soldiers in Phantom Pain. He's noticing some guys doing training. One of the guys, the recruits, he goes John Wayne on the target, pulling out his gun and shooting like that. You're hearing me, right?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
So the recruit goes John Wayne on the target. Ocelot goes again. Shell gets caught in the gun. You see that in the movies. We Diamond Dogs are a professional force to be reckoned with, not some tribal militia. Start acting like one. Engravings give you no tactical advantage whatsoever. That was some fancy shooting. Pretty good. And Big Boss, this comes after you do a certain amount of side missions or main missions or whatever. Big Boss is there listening to Ocelot saying it.
Yeah, that's...
He still loves his senpai.
That's the thing, is that people don't usually... if you don't know anything about guns, you always think, the most powerful thing you can find or whatever.
Yeah, they didn't even do that in the Old West. They didn't pull out the gun like they do in John Wayne. I mean, I'm sure John Wayne knew that himself. He was an NRA guy, of course. He just did it because he knew, and cinematically, that's what excites the audience. But in real life, gunfights in the West did not happen like we're standing at the opposite edge of town. Off! They shot behind cover because they weren't idiots. It's just, it's cinematically, it's more exciting for the audience to see that thing.
It's like how they were, how they talked about that kind of thing in Back to the Future 3 or whatnot. But we're getting off topic.
Now we're getting off topic. So Punisher is a gun expert because he's an actual former soldier. We know that much. Then let's get on to Elektra. Punisher is now my second favorite thing about the series. I'm going to say that much. What about you?
Yeah, I like him about as much as I like Daredevil, yeah.
Yeah, Daredevil's of course my first favorite thing about it because Daredevil. Like Punisher is my second favorite. He's the best addition to the series, and I liked Elodie Young as Elektra Nachios, even though we have a French woman playing a Greek woman.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird.
I mean,
I'll say this.
Care. I mean, I don't care. It's just something I like to joke about. They got a French woman playing a Greek.
I'll say this. Elektra's character is much better than it was in the movie. And
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's much more accurate to the comics.
First off, it's more accurate to the comics, despite the fact that the suit is nothing like the comics. And second...
Well, you can't... Well, realistically, you're not going to wear a suit like that into battle. It's a piece of cloth. It exposes yourself too much. Like, who's going to wear that thing into a battle? Like, you're basically making yourself an open target.
Yeah, it's like the same reason they didn't include the bright yellow Daredevil suit in this series at all.
Of course. I mean, like, no one's going to wear something like that in this modern age. I mean, back then, maybe it fit with the more campy tone they were going for, but no one's in their right minds in this modern world would wear that.
No. You know, something that I'm kind of disappointed in is that they didn't give Frank Miller any credits on the, as for, like, you know, the creation of the characters or defining some of these characters.
Elektra's one of the good things I actually like about Frank Miller. And this comes from someone who thinks The Dark Knight Returns is one of the most overrated stories I've ever read, even though it's a good idea. The older Batman and all that.
Yeah, Frank Miller kind of started... I think that was about the time when Frank Miller started losing his touch, but he was still in his prime back on Daredevil, and he created some of the things that defined the character.
Yeah, Daredevil was his first story I've read. In all honesty, I haven't read any of Frank Miller's Daredevil, but I don't like how Marvel handled their relations with Miller, because when Miller left, he had killed off Elektra. He left an agreement specifically saying that they cannot use the character without his permission. That's what they said, but the character is popular as Elektra. We need money, so they find a loophole in the agreement somehow, and they bring Elektra back.
Yeah.
I don't like how they're basically dishonoring their agreement with Miller that way.
Yeah, and then it was in the Daredevil movie, Elektra is introduced and then killed off within like 30 minutes, and then by the...
Oh yeah, I remember that.
She's introduced, killed off, and resurrected within the span of 2 hours, basically.
And the way she's introduced is like they meet in a coffee shop, then like a few minutes later, why don't we fight? Why are you fighting this guy? If there's no win solution for you, honey. Because first off, if you lose, congratulations, you lost to a blind man. Pretty pathetic.
And
Second,
if
you win, congratulations, you beat up a blind man.
Yeah.
Where's the win situation for you here? Also, they're fighting in a school playground, so...
And they also don't have any previous history together, so there's absolutely no, she doesn't know that he's got the radar vision.
The radar sense, yeah. And they're fighting in a school kid's playground full of preschoolers, so... Yeah, that's supposed to look good, I guess.
Scenes in some superhero movies from back then had kind of a...
Yeah, the early 2000s was newsflash for our younger viewers who are younger than us 19-year-olds. The early 2000s superhero movies, they were pretty weird.
Catwoman
Even the good ones were kind of weird.
Yeah, Catwoman had a whole bat scene dedicated to basketball.
Oh, that thing. Like I saw the movies on Netflix. I only watched it just to see I only watched it just to see how bad it was, and then first 5 minutes were literally too awful, so I kept skipping through just to see the hot Halle Berry stuff. That's literally the only reason to watch it. Like, I don't. It's too vulgar for It's too vulgar for kids. Too childish for adults. Too nonsensical for cinema fans. Too insulting to comic fans. Too insulting to common sense people. I don't know who this movie was made for. It's like the Fan Four Stick movie. You know what I mean?
I was gonna
it's
say
a movie
that.
for
Yeah.
no one. Like, I don't know. Why is she dressed up like a weird dominatrix?
Why does she have cat superpowers? Because the Michelle Pfeiffer version did.
I mean, okay, the whole dominatrix thing. I guess Catwoman has kind of always been Catwoman kind of does dress up like that, especially nowadays.
At that point, they were basically just ripping off Black Cat.
The whip and all that.
The...
But she is totally exposed.
What the hell just happened here? Hang on. It was like this thing just flashed up on my screen, and I've got and there's a picture of like somebody's shoulder around the right-hand side. Did you activate your webcam somehow?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna find out what this is. I don't. Oh, okay. VLC just. I accidentally clicked on VLC.
Okay.
And I got.
Anyways, back to what I was saying. Like, she's dressed up like this weird dominatrix. And anyways, I guess Catwoman kind of does dress up like that nowadays. But she's got like a bra. She's got her panties showing and these ripped up pants.
The worst part is that she goes from the actual Catwoman costume to that.
Yeah, like, whose idea was that?
It's
I
like...
get they're trying to go with the... I get that...
It's basically like whose idea was the whole, adding the Elektra subplot into Daredevil.
I mean, there was no point in that movie either, but that movie is terrible even without Elektra, so moving on.
Yeah.
Season 2, Elektra in Season 2, Elodie Yung does great.
Yeah, she does great, and guess what? Her death actually means something.
Yeah. Oh, and newsflash to the DCEU and Warner Brothers. This show is dark, and it has moments of levity and humor. Learn to have fun.
That's how you get that. You get contrast going.
Yeah, remember? Why didn't you take off a mask? Because I don't care about... Because I don't give a shit who you are. And Elodie Yung just has constant... She's just having fun with her role, you can tell.
Yeah.
She's just going all out, no holds restrained. She's cracking jokes, she's having fun. Newsflash, the show is dark. Newsflash to Warner Brothers, do you see how you can put jokes and humor into dark material? Do you see how you can have fun? Do you see that fun is not a bad word? Do not be afraid of the F word. Do not be afraid of fun.
Apparently they did because... Suicide Squad was supposed to be a sort of a jokey movie, but now they're going back and reshooting it to try and make it even jokier.
Yeah, like, I mean...
Which I think is the wrong response.
Yeah, Ayer made it dark, but he knew how to put some jokes in, and the trailer showed that, the most recent trailer. I'm very excited for Suicide Squad, unlike I was for BVS. But Suicide Squad was the one area where they should have been going dark, and now they're making it light. I think it's their way of saying, well, we went like you asked us to, and now the movie sucked, so haha, we were smarter than you. We're going to make everything dark now. I think that's what they're trying to do. They're sabotaging David Ayer's work, and I'm tired of that. David Ayer's a good director. Don't sabotage his work.
So, this is the one other major complaint I have about Daredevil as a series is the fact that it is too damn dark. You can barely see anything in some of the fight scenes, and it would be phenomenal if they could... What?
Well, I'm fine with that because I think that's the way of trying to make you feel like... I think that's trying to make you feel like how you would be if you were there or if you really were a blind person, because you can't see what's happening.
I get that, but this is something that I brought up in my review. The one thing the Daredevil movie did better than the series was that it had the Daredevil radar, and it let the audience see how he saw. Also, whenever it got really dark like that, you could just switch on over to the Daredevil vision and you could see what was going on. I mean, they only used the Daredevil vision once.
Oh yeah, it was when he was looking at Rosario Dawson in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of see why they don't. I kind of see why they don't do it, because I think they figure if they keep doing it like that, the viewers may get tired, and because they just want to see what's happening. So I get why they do it that way.
Well, yeah, but it's still irritating to not be able to tell who's who. And the thing is, he can actually tell who's who and what's going on.
Oh, he can, absolutely.
Yeah, so it would just be nice if they had not necessarily better lighting, but like I said, that if they could just, fade in like a burning effect on stuff like they said for how it works for him, and just have that fade in whenever it gets really, really dark on screen so that we can see what's going on.
Yeah, I see what you mean, but I'm overall fine with it. I'm fine with it, honestly. So
it's all right.
Season 2, they bring back it's not just Elektra who's back from Murdoch's past. They've got Scott Glenn back too as Stick, and they got D'Onofrio back too.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're wondering if you've seen Scott Glenn anywhere, you have plenty more places than you might have thought of. Actually, The Hunt for Red October, Training Day. There's plenty of things he's been in.
He looks like David Carradine. Did you notice that?
I guess you could. Yeah, maybe. You can see Scott Glenn in plenty of things. The Hunt for Red October. He's in Silence of the Lambs. He's in Training Day. He's in The Bourne Ultimatum. He's in The Right Stuff. He's in plenty of things. He actually was in Sucker Punch too. So that sucked. Anyways, Scott Glenn's a terrific actor. You should totally check out his pedigree. Anyways, and I love how he's all, I don't care at all. Let's just get this done. And does anyone else want to get out of here? Help me out, or your girlfriend dies, Matt. I love how he says, I don't care. Let's get this over with.
Yeah, his attitude is the kind of attitude that you kind of need to lighten the tone a bit, and to
of course, and
contrast.
He's an old warrior. He's an old warrior who's been in this for so long. You kind of expect that attitude from him. That's how he would feel at that age, I think.
Yeah, I also like the fact that the conflict between him and Daredevil isn't contrived like it is between characters on DC's TV series sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. Like, between him and Daredevil, there's a reason there are conflicts with each other, because Stick always tried to be so distant with Murdoch.
Yeah, Stick abandoned him as a child.
He abandoned him as a kid when he was being basically the closest thing he had to a father. When he needed him the most, he abandoned him. Stick was disappointed because he couldn't make a soldier out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And older him. I like this conflict between them. It works.
And then it's like the conflict between him and
there's a reason
Elektra.
why it's, and also the conflict between him and Elektra, it makes sense too, because I get why Daredevil doesn't want Stick dead. Like, it's not a stupid reason why he doesn't want Stick dead. He doesn't want Stick dead because, in a way, he still feels like he's the closest thing he has to a father, in spite of how much he hates him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense why in spite of everything, he still wants Stick to be alive for as long as he can.
And it also makes sense why Elektra kind of doesn't like him, and because he's basically just sort of set off on a bit of a vendetta against her.
Yeah, and like I love how, like, when they rescue him, like, thank you for not killing me. Thank you for not killing me. That was Elektra, basically, and like, I only didn't do it because your boyfriend would have been mad. That's awesome. I love that.
So how do you think
comic relief? Who's badass comic relief? You know what I mean?
It's like how they should have had the Blue Beetle in like the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, and it's kind of like Blue Beetle in the Young Justice show too.
Mm-hmm. So how do you think Daredevil?
Flash, bring back Young Justice.
How do you think Daredevil season 2 stacks up to Jessica Jones?
It's still better for me. Jessica
Yeah, me
Jones is
too.
still my Jessica Jones is still my third favorite Netflix show. Honestly, that's not to say it is bad. Okay, look, fanboys and fangirls or whoever, Jessica Jones is still a badass show. It is awesome, but sometimes it kind of just doesn't get to the point. Honestly,
Yeah, that's
it has some of the problems that SVU Law and Order has sometimes, and I love Law and Order, mostly the earlier ones, because SVU was only good when Christopher Maloney was on the show, and now it's not that bad. There's more than just one character to like on Jessica Jones. They're all pretty great on Jessica Jones, but it seems slow paced. It doesn't seem to get to the point like Law and Order: Criminal Intent did, which has Vincent D'Onofrio on it. You should check that out. And I love D'Onofrio when he encounters Matt in prison. Like he just grabs Daredevil. Ha! I will destroy you, Murdoch, and Murdoch punches him. Ah, yes, the son of a boxer. I will burn you when I get out of this hole. I will burn you. I will destroy Nelson and Murdoch. Bring it to the ground. Bring it to the ground. Make you suffer. Destroy all that you love. And I will let you watch every stinking second of it all. I love how he goes into that rage. It's perfect.
That
is Wilson Fisk.
Yeah,
you know
I
mean?
love
that is Wilson
the
Fisk.
entire
is perfect.
Wilson Fisk in prison storyline too, because he was building up his empire. He was staying under the radar, and he was manipulating it so other people did his dirty work.
Yeah, he manipulated the Punisher, and I don't know why, I kind of like that scene in the courtroom where the Punisher pretends to be insane. You want me? I'm the big bad Punisher. I'm right here. I'm right here. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of comical the way he does it.
Yeah.
I guess that's because thanks to Murdoch's super hearing, you actually know he's faking it. But
something that kind of bugged me was that they brought up Jessica Jones and they brought in Jerry.
Oh yeah, they brought in Carrie.
Yeah,
Carrie Joe Moss, whatever her last name is.
And yeah, like I said, they brought up Jessica Jones, and I thought they were gonna do something with they were
like
gonna have
Jessica
him
show up.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna have it set up so that Matt and Foggy were going to be defending her in court, but I guess they're not going to have that until Jessica Jones season 2. I'd love to see that.
I'd love to see that in either Jessica Jones season 2 or the Defenders show.
Yeah, that would be. Sorry, I think that would probably be the best thing they could do with the have a crossover between the two of them until they.
Yeah, but I'm not sure having
away.
I don't think I want Jones on Daredevil because they'd have to make Daredevil the focus of it. Because in a court case like that, Jones should be the focus, I think.
Yeah, it should definitely. Should definitely be held off for season 2 of Jessica Jones.
Yeah, they should either have it in season 2 of Jessica Jones or on a season of the Defenders, because Nelson and Murdoch will be defending her in court along with Carrie Ann Moss. That's her last name. That's her name, Carrie Ann Moss. They'll be defending Jones in court. Meanwhile, Cage is either there to offer moral support or he's out with Iron Fist, chasing leads, tracking down clues to try and find out who may have framed Jessica for some crime or whatever, and get to the bottom of it.
That was something that I was going to bring up. How exactly do you think Luke Cage is going to tie into the existing material?
I'm not sure exactly. They probably won't have Charlie Cox and Kristen Ritter show up. They might have Carrie Ann Moss show up somehow, and they might have Foggy show up.
Yeah.
I like how Foggy's working with Carrie Ann Moss now too.
That's a good thing, yeah. But what I was gonna say is that, well, first off, they need to have some kind of crossover between the Netflix shows that goes beyond.
What was that?
They need to have a crossover between the Netflix series that goes beyond having Night Nurse show up in Jessica Jones.
Beyond the Defenders?
Well, I was going to say beyond
the Defenders?
Can you hear me?
You're breaking up. I can hear you now, yes.
Okay. Beyond having Night Nurse show up in Jessica Jones and Jerry showing up in Daredevil.
Okay. You're breaking up again.
Okay, nice, wonderful. Uh,
Like, I
see,
know
I'm
what you're saying. Like, they have to do something beyond like having the defenders.
okay. Now you started breaking up. I've already said this enough times that the recording has gotten to this. I'm just gonna IM this to you.
What? There's something in your background. Hello, Alex?
Yeah. I said I was just gonna IM something to you.
Okay.
It's beyond crossover beyond having Night Nurse and Jerry showing up in in Jessica Jones and Daredevil respectively.
Yeah, like and obviously Luke Cage gets married to Jessica Jones, and Cage is also best friends with Iron Fist, so they're gonna have to work that somehow.
Also, after the Spider-Man movie, or at least after Civil War, Spider-Man needs to show up in some of these series. Not
Maybe,
like be mentioned, but show up fully.
Well, definitely in Daredevil, because he and Daredevil have worked closely in the comics, and he has worked with. Kingpin has been a prominent foe to both Murdoch and Parker,
and
maybe
as well,
Jessica...
Daredevil, Matt and Peter stand in for each other sometimes. Because Matt will put on the Spider-Man costume, or Peter will put on the Daredevil costume, depending on who they need to.
Oh yeah, they've done that like in the comics
identity,
sometimes. Yeah. Anyways, they may be able to do something with Jones, because in the comics, like, Jones and Parker attended high school together. Obviously, this version of Jones is older than Parker, because Parker's still in high school by the time Jones is out doing her thing, like with the private investigator and all that. In the show, like in the comics, she had a crush on Peter Parker growing up. They're obviously not going to have that, but they could have some interaction between them.
Yeah, and I think that a Spider-Man TV series, a Netflix series, would be better than a Spider-Man movie at this point.
Well, I'm not sure that's the best thing to do financially, because Spider-Man is still basically a kid. Spider-Man is still like, he's much better known to kids than Daredevil or Jessica Jones. He always has been, and he's still seen by most people as like this kid thing. So,
well, I know that. It's just that
you can get dark with Spider-Man. They have gotten dark with Spider-Man, but I don't think a Netflix show where they get super dark, I don't think that's the right level of it. They need to keep it more lighthearted for Spider-Man, because he's always been the comic relief guy.
I just mean that it would be more in line with how Spider-Man and kind of things need to, because Spider-Man is, again, street crime. For the most part, with the odd supervillain every now and again.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, so the format would match, an episodic format would match it more than like a movie every 2 years.
Yeah, it's more lighthearted than Daredevil or Jones would be.
So it would basically turn out to be like the Flash to Daredevil's Arrow.
Yeah, that's something like that. But they're obviously not going to do that. They're already
planning the movie.
Yeah, and I think they'll do good. The guy who directed Cop Car is directing this, and that was a good movie. So I'm optimistic on that end. I don't know who Zendaya. I never heard her name until I heard she was in Spider-Man. So I don't know what her acting abilities are, but she's playing that Gonzalez character from the comics. So we'll see how that goes.
See, I know what you're talking about, but I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, she and Parker were like roommates, and later on, like back in the late 2000s when those rolled around.
Yeah,
they were roommates in an apartment room. Parker was paying rent to Rodriguez. Her name's Rodriguez. My mistake, not Gonzalez. Rodriguez.
Okay.
I think Parker was paying rent to Rodriguez. I think.
Was she the landlady's daughter in the Raimi movies?
No. That was someone else.
Oh, okay. A different character then?
That was before she was written into the comics. The Raimi movies were all before she was written.
Okay. Well, anyways.
Anyways, on to back to Murdoch, and I like how the tension between him and Nachios in the show too. Like, but when he's trying to take up the case to defend Castle in court, and
yeah, the way Elektra she basically just
the the way Elektra keeps screwing it up for them.
Yeah, and even when she tried to help out, it just
She just
royally
screwed up.
screwed up the case for him.
Yeah, I love that. There's real tension caused because of her actions like that.
Mm-hmm.
The actions in this show have consequences. Nothing's simply forgotten. Like almost every single thing in the show, whether said or done, seems to matter in some way or another. Like Clancy Brown wasn't just some guy they brought in just to be Clancy Brown military figure. He figured into the plot eventually.
Right.
Remember Clancy Brown? He was Colonel whatever it was.
Oh, so that's his name. I was trying to figure out who he was because I couldn't remember what his name was.
Yeah, Clancy Brown. He voices Mr. Krabs. He voiced Lex Luthor and the Superman and Justice League animated shows. He voiced Agent King in Young Justice. He also plays Wade Eiling in the Flash show.
Oh yeah, did you notice that he looks kind of like the Punisher almost?
Kind of like what?
He kind of looks like an older Frank Castle.
Yeah, no, he kind of does, and he could pass off as that honestly too.
Yeah, and I was thinking
if they ever decide to do a Dark Knight Returns style thing for Frank Castle, Clancy Brown could convincingly pull it off, or Thomas Jane if they decide to bring him because he's 46 years old now, or Kiefer Sutherland would be good. I think he's 49 years old.
The thing I like about
Jason
Daredevil,
Statham because Jason Statham.
The thing I like about Daredevil is that it keeps its focus no matter what. The characters
Absolutely.
the characters are the way the characters are. There is no alternate interpretation to their actions.
Well, there is some.
There is.
Obviously, to fit the continuity, there's some alternate ways the characters act from the comics to fit the continuity.
I know. It's just there's none of that issues that Jessica Jones had.
It's not like a major deviation like Daredevil goes from ninja to an actual devil or whatever.
Well, what I was trying to say is it's not like Jessica Jones where they keep flip-flopping the characters back and forth between multiple interpretations of their actions. Because it kept seeming like they were trying to turn Kilgrave into a hero, and just kept making him more monstrous to try and compensate for that, you know?
I would have been fine with that had they done it where Kilgrave controlling the minds left some like multiple personality disorder on them. You know what I mean?
You know, me personally, I thought they were leading up to some kind of to Jessica having some sort of mental issue where she just implanted false memories into herself to try and make herself seem better. And I was thinking they were going to go
That would have been great psychologically. I love that idea because it fits into the whole. It fits in kind of either that or the multiple personality idea I had with what Kilgrave does to his victims.
Yeah, but they just tried to take what was sort of a morally ambiguous situation and then try to paint it black and white.
Yeah,
and it's not to say that
it's not always black and white. Jessica Jones doesn't always go black and white. It does remain gray for the most part. It does remain gray for the most part, like Daredevil. That's what they plan to do with all these Netflix shows. But at the same time, Jones kind of loses his focus in some areas. I mean, of course, there's always some areas in the real world that could be black and white, and not entirely gray. But it seemed to lose like motivations for some of the characters.
Yeah, it's like how most of Kilgrave's actions, a lot of Kilgrave's actions are certainly like deplorable. But I was thinking they were leaning more towards like sort of a childish, amoral attitude for him rather than something straight out evil.
They should have made him more childish, like I think, because the way he acted as a kid, I don't think there are very few people who outgrow that what he went through as a kid. There are very few people who outgrow like the childish tendencies when they get older. I think they should have kept it that way.
Mm-hmm.
He seems more when he's older. The way David Tennant acts, nothing wrong with him. He does perfectly. But he seems to act more methodical and much more intelligent than someone like this in real life would be.
Well, I don't really have any problem with the methodical and intelligent pursuit of his goal,
Well,
really,
well, he's got to
because
be. Well, he's got to be. Otherwise, he's a mind controller, but he's a total idiot. He's got to have some methodical too.
well, I was gonna say is that he's had enough time to learn what he needs to do to succeed, really, and the the thing that I was hoping they were doing was, that eventually they would come to some conclusion of what actually happened. Because, where they'll present multiple versions of events from different characters' perspectives, and then they'll present the actual version of events sometimes in certain series. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you mean because when Jones was under Kilgrave's control and when his parents were doing experiments on him. Personally, I think we were given just enough information from both sides on both ends. I think we were given just enough information, but it would have been more. But it would have been interesting to explore this more.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that they left a lot of things unexplored. They tried to go into they tried to do the spin-off thing, and they got the whole subplot of the super soldier, her pills, that just basically gets dropped.
That's a way to fit Captain America in the show, actually.
Yeah.
Like that's a way to fit Captain America into Jessica Jones if they want to do that. Because
well, that's what they kept doing back in the. That's what they kept doing back in the early 2000s with the superhero movies, because the Hulk was, the Hulk movie was sort of about the search for how to recover the superheroes, the super soldier serum. Well, Spider-Man literally said.
That's kind of what the Hulk. That's kind of what the Hulk, the next Hulk movie was also. When really, we're trying to figure out the super soldier serum through gamma radiation. What's wrong with the whole gamma bomb thing, like the original comics, though?
It's a lot less controlled and would be a lot more likely to kill somebody.
Okay, I can see that, I guess.
But yeah, the plot of the
maybe don't have the military involved initially with the Hulk. Maybe just he's a scientist working at some science facility, like they're trying to cure cancer or something. He thinks gamma radiation can help. Something screws up. Then later on, the military gets involved when they hear about this Hulk creature. Ross grows intrigued, and they have to try and find out its banner and all that. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, that was basically what they did for Hulk, and that didn't turn out that well.
Yeah, that's how it should have been, but it's not the way it happened with the first Hulk movie. And with the next Hulk movie, they tried to basically use an abridged version of the events from the first Hulk movie, even though it's not MCU technically.
Well, they more went for an abridged version of the events of the TV series for that. But I don't
know why, because the TV series was a really good show.
The plots of both the Amazing Spider-Man and the Raimi Spider-Man movies were both about recreating the super soldier serum. They directly reference trying to recreate the super soldier serum.
They reference every superhero ever in the Raimi movies, so I kind of give them that much. They say Superman at one point.
I mean, no, directly. They actually say they're trying to recreate the super soldier serum.
Yeah, I know they do.
Yeah.
They say Superman also in Spider-Man 2. They directly say the name Superman. So, but anyways, Jessica Jones. So. Yeah. That's a way they can fit Captain America in, and it's also a way they fit Luke Cage in, because he said he got his powers through some freak accident like that, and that might fit. Might fit into the whole soldier pill thing.
Yeah, they can also try and fit Oscorp in as well.
Yeah, that could work with Spider-Man. So the whole it would give us also an event that is not a world-shattering, the end is near event that doesn't excuse having all the Avengers here for some reason. So. That would make me extremely happy for a good story.
Well, that's basically what it boils down to, is that they built up to...
And a real solo movie, too. A real solo event.
They built up to all these severe, all of this world-conquering action after the Avengers, and they forgot that they just need to have... Every now and again, there needs to be a story, a standalone story,
Yeah, and for some reason, the president gets kidnapped to Iron Man 3, and Captain America, the America's heart and soul, doesn't go after the president of the United States.
Are you a bad enough dude to rescue the president? I guess he wasn't.
What was that?
I guess he wasn't a bad enough dude to rescue the president.
to rescue the president. Yeah. Oh, what's that? My head boss has been captured. It's no big deal.
I'm gonna go
So,
into hiding and dismantle Hydra instead.
yeah, and I'm not gonna call all my Avenger buddies like the Hulk who could tear apart the whole thing. That's one reason why Winter Soldier is so overrated.
You can
It
thank
is one of the most
Universal for
overrated
that.
movies.
You can thank Universal for that. They're the
Yeah,
ones.
Universal. Like the reason, like he's not allowed basically outside any Avengers or any of the other solo movies because they can make a Hulk movie. Disney can make a solo Hulk movie. The problem is that Universal still owns the distribution rights. So if they want to release the movie, they have to get Universal's approval.
Disney has enough money to buy the rights. They shouldn't
I'm
be
surprised they
doing
haven't,
this.
honestly.
I mean, it's
I'm
like the
surprised they
same.
haven't.
It
Or
comes
maybe
down to
they've-
the same
or
thing with.
Maybe they've tried to, but if Universal won't budge. It's kind of like the situation with Fox on the first three Star Wars movies.
Fox lost the rights to 5 and 6. They've still got the rights to 4 though.
They'll own four forever unless they decide to sell it, and they're
Yeah.
not going to sell it. They're not going to
Unless-
sell it.
Then-
They're too smart. They're too smart to sell it.
Oh yeah, I mean it's literally like the third highest grossing film of all time.
And considering how the fandom has been resurgent and got many new fans, and it's among people who are younger than us who realize how awesome Star Wars is, it's especially a better moneymaker now.
Now,
They know they're not going to get too much. They know they're not going to get as large a slice of the pie as Disney or Lucasfilm are, but they're going to grab whatever they can.
now, here's what I'm wondering: are they gonna do like dream sequence crossovers between Star Wars and Marvel stuff?
Marvel. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I mean, Marvel Comics is publishing Star Wars comics now, so they did originally, but Dark Horse brought the rights. Now Marvel has them back, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do it, kind of like what Marvel and DC did years ago.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. I heard they're making a Boba Fett Netflix TV series.
That'd be cool, but
I heard they're in the process of making it. They're trying to work on a contract with Daniel Logan to get him back. Daniel Logan, he of course played Boba in Attack of the Clones and voiced him in the Clone Wars CGI show.
wait, are you talking about the kid or the guy who
The
played
kid,
Django?
The kid, not Tamira Morrison.
Oh.
Tamira Morrison played Django. Daniel Logan played Boba.
Okay, then that makes sense.
And Logan's a good actor. I actually asked him on Twitter if he would be open to starring in a series on Netflix with Boba. He actually responded to me, yes, he would.
That's good. You know what? It would be cool if they could do like an off-canon episode of Boba Fett versus Daredevil.
I'd love to see that, like Daredevil going against Boba Fett, and like how the radar sense figures into Boba's. I'm the best bounty hunter in the galaxy, even though I do very little, but just stand around in the Star Wars originals. I mean, let's be honest, Boba does almost nothing in those movies.
He gets shot by a blind man, so at least he's got experience with it.
Actually, his jetpack got bashed by Han while he was still blind from the carbonite thing. So going up against Daredevil, who is blind but not as blind, it works.
I've got some experience dealing with blind people. It's not good experience, but it's still experience.
I've got experience dealing with blind people. I mean, it's not that good experience, and you can obviously see even though you are blind, which is kind of a contradiction. And I've gotten my ass whooped by when he didn't even try to kick me, but I can still kill you because I'm Boba Fett. Yeah, that would be funny. That would be funny seeing how Charlie Cox and Daniel Logan beat each other up, or Tamira Morrison.
Yeah, every now and again there's an off-canon episode of certain series. Ben 10 once did a off-canon episode where Gwen got the
Generator Rex.
Yeah, where Gwen got the
Generator Rex,
Omnitrix, and there was every now and again Bones does something like that. And
Law and Order would have characters cross over into other shows all the time because they're all set in the same universe. The Law and Order shows.
well, this is talking about like off canon and
Yeah, I get what you mean.
goofy
And
kind of stuff. The kind of thing that you'd have like a one shot of rather than and it be a part of the whole series.
yeah, like kind of like in Batman and Punisher, and like Spider-Man and
Spider-Man and
Batman and
Superman.
Superman and Captain America or whatever. Yeah, I get that.
So yeah, I really think that they upped their game on Daredevil season 2. I'm actually kind of worried as to how they're going to handle Daredevil season 3 because I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
if they can I don't know if they can up the ante any further.
obviously have D'Onofrio more involved because that's the logical choice story wise for me to
Mhm.
continue exploring Fisk in prison. Maybe this is where this is what season one. Maybe they reveal him to be Bullseye. I'd love that, and
That
maybe he starts causing trouble outside the prison to keep Daredevil distracted. So Fisk continues his rise in prison. Because keep in mind, Matt knows Fisk is working on getting out of prison somehow,
Mhm.
and he owns the place. So obviously, he wants to keep him distracted now, and he doesn't know Matt is Daredevil, but he knows Daredevil will get onto him eventually,
Right.
unless he keeps him distracted somehow. So Bullseye can do just that.
Right, and that would be the perfect way to approach it. That way we've got the origin in one
Yeah,
season, and Elektra in the second, and then Bullseye in the third.
or just focus completely on the Hand is going to revive Elektra because that's what they did. That's what they did in the comics when they messed up their agreement with Frank Miller. Either one or both works for me. And it's not like, and don't try and top your second season, guys. Don't try and top how awesome season 2 was. Just focus on making a coherent narrative line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
That,
that's
that's
what
that's
they.
kind of that's kind of the problem that Arrow season 3
Oh,
had.
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah, Arrow season 3, they had Ra's al Ghul show up. Now, the whole comparison to Batman thing, Green Arrow from the start has always been, what if Batman decided to be a Green Arrow cosplayer instead of a bat cosplayer? But hey, so I'm fine with the similarities like Ra's al Ghul in the League of Shadows existing in the Arrow show, as long as Batman does not exist in the Flareoverse.
Well, he obviously does because.
Well, Bruce Wayne exists because Gotham City. I'm sure Bruce Wayne exists, but as long as he doesn't like go out at night in a bat costume, I'm fine with it.
Oh no, Gotham is part of the Flareoverse.
No, I know Gotham is part of it, but as long as Bruce,
No, I
as
mean
long
the
as,
series Gotham.
no, it's not. It's a separate universe, isn't it?
No, it's part of the Flareoverse. Queen
So
Consolidated.
is Bruce a kid?
Um, Queen
I thought they were separate
Consolidated
because
and
Fox and CW.
no,
I thought they were
Queen
separate, like Fox and CW.
because the Queen Consolidated from Arrow uh is in Gotham.
When did Queen Consolidated go to Gotham?
You gotta watch it. It's like
Is this in season 4? Because I've only watched what's on Netflix.
I don't know. I haven't watched much of it, but I know that Queen Consolidated is in the Gotham. It's not necessarily in the Gotham skyline, but it's brought up like some of the stuff that was mentioned in.
Maybe it's just like a division building of theirs,
Yeah, and it's like how.
kind of like Wayne and Metropolis. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
the
it's like
main
how the LexCorp truck in Man of Steel.
maybe
You
the
have to be watching for it.
yeah, maybe the main headquarters is like still in Starling City or whatever, and
Mhm.
maybe this is a different Queen Consolidated, like they're trying to reference it. You know what I mean? Maybe in
Yeah.
Gotham in Gotham that's a totally different Queen Consolidated because I don't see Bruce being a kid while Oliver is being Arrow and
No,
being Robin.
well, the thing is that Gotham is set in the past of Arrow.
Until I get real confirmation seeing it from CW or Fox, I'm not gonna believe that so far.
Yeah.
Or maybe if Bruce in Arrow, maybe if Bruce is not Batman, but he's like a major secret like FBI informant or something like that.
Doesn't work. It doesn't work because
Why not?
he's still got because all of the stuff in Gotham he's still has the origin. His parents are dead, so he's got
Well,
to be
yeah, but
Batman.
well, no, not necessarily, because GCPD is still corrupt. He knows he can't do that because he studied to be an FBI agent at one point in his life. So maybe you have it where he is an FBI agent.
Well, yeah, but there's still Bloodhaven, and Bloodhaven you got to have Dick Grayson.
Well, Dick Grayson, he can be his own thing. Like he grows up, he becomes Nightwing on his own because he's becomes an artist originally. He has these ideas of like inspired by Arrow and Flash.
That makes him
He
Kyle
decides to
Rayner,
pen-
though. That basically just makes him Kyle Rayner.
I don't know much about Kyle Rayner, so I'm not going to get into that.
He was the artist Green Lantern. He was a comic book
I
artist.
just don't see. Yeah, okay. So I just don't see Arrow working. I don't see the Flareverse working with Batman existing because they've already gone above and beyond with taking too much stuff from the Batman character into Arrow.
Well, you see, here's how I would salvage it. The guy who was supposedly Ra's al Ghul was just another one of Ra's al Ghul's people, and the real Ra's al Ghul is
Raish.
The real Ra's al Ghul is seriously ticked off that John Barrowman has taken on his title, and boom, Liam Neeson shows up and kicks his ass.
I'd love it if they brought in Liam Neeson. I'd love it if they had Liam Neeson show up like that. That would be cool.
And then it could be like the League of Shadows group that Ra's led is just like a splinter cell, and that
John Nolan or whatever his name is in Arrow, they led like a rogue unit, and the real Raish has been hiding out, waiting for someone to take it out himself.
Right, and the Arrow takes out the fake Ra's, and then the new fake Ra's is
Raish.
I'm not saying that. I'm absolutely not saying that.
It's Persian, dude. It's Persian.
Yeah, but they only ever pronounced it Ra's al Ghul in Arrow. In the Dark Knight movies, they always pronounced it Ra's.
They always pronounce it Ra's, but they pronounce it Raish in the animated series, so...
Yeah, whatever.
And that's how you actually say it in the actual language, so that's what I go with.
Okay.
And DC Comics doesn't know culture. Neither does Warner Brothers. Considering how they interpret Superman in the movies right now. But anyways, season 3 of Arrow. Long story short, they saw how people reacted so highly praised to season 2, where with Deathstroke and all that, they tried to outdo themselves. They were focused more on outdoing themselves rather than take the story to a narrative conclusion. It did feel at times like it was narratively logical because they already introduced the League of Shadows and Raish in season 2, but at times it just felt like, how can we outdo ourselves?
And it was rushed.
To season 3 of Daredevil, focus on what fits the narrative.
Right.
The whole thing where they tried to gas the city in season 3 of Arrow, where they tried to put a gas bomb over the city, and then they're fighting on the dam with the swords, and the Starling City Police Department acts like they're total idiots because this guy now Paul Blackthorne's character, I can understand why he would think Oliver is Arrow, even though they already went down that line. But no one in the Starling City Police Department questions him. Sir, didn't you have this hunch earlier when you were not a police captain and it turned out to be false? Shut up, just do what I say! No one questions him why he's going after Oliver Queen again.
Yeah.
Then no one questions how this basically when Harper shows up to free Queen, in the Arrow suit, no one questions how this kid who is because keep in mind, Oliver in the Arrow suit has been seen in public though, like when he came back from the dead, and they took down the British guy who killed John Barrowman's wife and his wife. They've seen him. They don't notice that this kid looks shorter and sounds like a kid.
Voice changer. You remember that?
You heard me, right?
Yeah, but you remember that he used a voice changer in that, right?
Well, he did use a voice changer,
But yeah, he is too
but
short. Roy Harper
yeah,
is way too short to be Oliver Queen.
I am. What's your name? Roy Harper. Well, Oliver Queen looks like he could be the height of the arrow reasonably. You're a kid and you don't look like you're the height of the arrow, and you like the arrow. Now we're gonna take you in. Oliver Queen is cleared of all charges. Like it just seems stupid. And also, that's not how legal. That's not how the legal system works. I know this. I have a family of lawyers.
I know this because I'm a huge nerd.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Starling City is not in New York State. That's where all my family are licensed to practice law, so maybe it works differently. But I don't think federal law would be happy with that.
I Isn't it supposed to be like in the
But
middle of the country or something? Because didn't they show it on a map somewhere?
I think it's like where Chicago would be, maybe.
Mm.
So I have family in Chicago as well, and I'm not familiar with how they do things there, aside from it's corrupt cesspool, and we have our president is currently adapting Chicago to Washington, which is making things worse. But, anyways,
Well, anyways,
so yeah, so
Daredevil
just
season 3.
focus on what makes sense narratively.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to top season 2, and that's going to be a problem. People are going to complain it didn't live up to season 2. It didn't have the epic conclusion. It doesn't need to have this big epic conclusion. It just needs to focus on where the story would logically go.
Right, and
People
that's
always
the
complain
problem with
about that.
that's the problem with
People always- when
event
people
comics.
when writers try to make do something based on how it would narratively conclude, people always complain sometimes that it didn't top the second season, or when they do try to top themselves, and in some cases they even do, people will complain they tried topping themselves. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Like, fandoms are stupid.
First off,
I enjoy being part of fandoms, but most of the people in our groups, no matter where they are,
Yeah.
they're kind of idiots. They don't let writers be writers sometimes.
yeah, the first rule of thumb is don't try and outdo yourself. Just take it wherever it needs to be next. Second,
yeah.
make sure that you keep in line with what you've established in the universe so far. And that was my
Third,
main...
Follow the Dr. Seuss philosophy of writing what you want to see, not what
Right.
some focus group wants you to see.
Right. And
Writers should write what they want to write, not what some focus group wants them to see.
And on point 2, what I was going to say about that is that was the main issue I had with Age of Ultron was the characterization of Black Widow. They didn't keep it they didn't keep it steady with the with how the character was portrayed in any of her previous appearances, because they spent all of that time in the Avengers setting up her relationship with Hawkeye, and then they spent all that time in the Winter Soldier setting up her relationship with Captain America, and it was a lot more, either one of those could have gone on for a romantic relationship, Captain America slightly more so, and then they introduced the Hulk angle. And no, seriously, what the hell was that about?
Yeah, I don't know what that was about. I guess I kind of see by the fact that Hulk doesn't feel like he can have kids because the way he is. Natasha can't because she's sterilized because Soviet agent and all that. But they barely spent time together, and the time they did spend, they were trying to threaten each other, and Natasha was running for her life from the Hulk in Avengers on the helicarrier.
Oh yeah, and she did sort of.
Apparently she learned some lullaby where she makes Hulk turn back to Banner. What?
No. Just no. Seriously. Explain. That was like
I'm reminded of a scene from a video game. Explain! Explain!
Explain!
What was...
Explain! The Daleks.
What was that lullaby? That romance thing honestly didn't bother me, but I think that was because I was more bothered by the lullaby thing.
See, the romance thing bothered me even more because they spent so much time setting her and Steve Rogers up as a pair, and her and Hawkeye.
Yeah, I think that's why I didn't notice it. I honestly kept forgetting about the romance until they kept bringing it back up, but because I was still focused on what is this lullaby thing? When did she come up with
It's
this?
supposed to be some sort of post-hypnotic suggestion that knocks him out and brings him back to human form. And yes, there was something similar in the comics, but they didn't establish any of that.
Yeah, she
It
just
seems
has
like
this
there was a
magic.
whole solo Hulk movie somewhere in
She,
between where this was
yeah, she just
established that
has
we
this.
didn't get to see.
She just has this magic MacGuffin. Listen to my lullaby. Listen to the sound of my voice. Revert back to Banner. And all of a sudden, he's Bruce Banner again. What the heck was that?
You know, if they'd introduced Doctor Strange earlier, or they could have just had Doctor Strange magic him back.
Oh yeah, that would work. And it's not like it's unprecedented. They worked together on the Defenders show before. Obviously, they're not going to have them that way because this version of the Defenders is more the street level
Mm-hmm.
street crime group. It's not like the secret covert Avengers or whatever. But it would work, you know.
You know, something else. They should have established. They should have established the other Hulk supporting cast members as well, but they can't. They're not doing that because they're not making any more Hulk movies.
And Fan Forstick reminded me, shouldn't Tim Blake Nelson be playing the leader by now?
He should be. There should also be.
Yeah.
What's his
They
name?
have and they have
Back as the
William
Abomination.
Hurt back as back. They have William Hurt back as Ross. Tim Roth is Abomination. Tim Roth I've seen most recently in The Hateful Eight with Tarantino, reuniting with Tarantino.
Yeah.
Anyway, that reminds me though, how awesome would it be if Tarantino directed Deadpool?
It would have been probably even better than it was, and that would have been saying a lot.
Yeah, considering how funny Deadpool was. Anyways, like I said, just focus on the narrative. Season 3 for Daredevil. So, Alex, would you recommend Derp Devil Season 2?
Very much so, yes.
I also recommend it, but it requires familiarity with Season 1 because obviously they bring back characters from Season 1 and they reference a lot of events from Season 1. It doesn't require it, but I do recommend going on Jessica Jones Season 1 as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So you can get like the 2 references they make to it.
Yeah. Also, what do you think they're gonna be doing with Night Nurse?
Oh yeah, that'll be interesting. Claire Temple. I'm
Yeah.
thinking she's gonna go like in independent maybe. Either find a different hospital or go independent for helping other vigilantes stay hidden and provide medical care when she can. Maybe she's gonna go like be like Mother Teresa or something.
I think they should bring in the rest. They should bring in the other 3 members of the Night Nurse team, and maybe
Maybe have Luke Cage do that. Maybe Luke Cage, as he's constantly going around beating up a bunch of thugs and beating up a bunch of thugs, he finds those women or whatever. Or Jones can do that.
either way it works. It's just the Night Nurse crew is something that they kind of need so that they can have a care team even for the street level heroes.
For the street level stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe eventually, maybe this could be explored in one or multiple series. But as the night nurses expand, people start to hear more about them, how they're helping the vigilantes. Maybe Tony Stark eventually hears about them, and he offers to give them a loan or something to set them up as a professional organization or something like that.
I want them to do something like that with Daredevil at some point, so that have Nelson and Murdoch defend more heroes or vigilantes or whatever,
Obviously,
and then eventually they can.
Obviously, they might not want to work together anymore, considering how Season 2 happened.
Well, yeah, but still, have Murdoch at the very least working
Or
to.
Nelson, like Foggy Nelson. He could be defending night nurses or anyone else who goes out and helps provide medical attention to superheroes.
Okay, yeah, Murdoch and Nelson separately.
The law goes after them, supporting vigilante activity or something, but Nelson could be defending them in court.
Nelson and Murdoch could be defending separate vigilante crews,
Yeah, that could work.
Because Nelson and Murdoch together made their names defending the Punisher.
Defending the most indefensible person ever, so...
And then Foggy could take on...
It's Casey Anthony. They somehow won that case. yet they lose Frank Castle for some reason.
Yeah, Foggy could take on the Night Nurse crew. Matt should
And
definitely go
Matt can divide.
after Jessica.
Murdoch can divide his time. Maybe what they do is Nelson defends him in court. Murdoch goes after the punks who keep beating them up.
Yeah, and something that they should do eventually is they should have not the trial of Peter Parker storyline, but the trial of Spider-Man they had a while back, where they have.
I'm trying to remember what was that.
There was some point in time where Spider-Man, not Peter Parker, was in court over something, and Matt Murdock defended him in court.
That would be interesting, but it doesn't make any sense that you wouldn't find out he's Peter Parker though.
Well, that was after they figured out who they were. I mean, because Matt Murdock.
No, I mean the world. I mean the world finding out.
Oh, the world finding out. No, he was
about Parker being Spider-Man.
No, this was before all that happened, and because he was actually Spider-Man doing something, and because he was still in his mask the whole time in court.
Yeah, but how do they not remove his mask though? That's the stupid part.
It's they do similar things sometimes where they protect witnesses' identities or whatever.
Maybe, but it's like, but this is the defendant though. And the world's gonna find out his name is printed in paper. It's like comic booky, I think.
I don't know. I know
it's a bit too like early 60s and 70s comic booky.
Well, this was like 90s, 2000s when this happened, so.
The 90s. They loved doing whatever they could in the 90s.
I know in the 90s they had the trial of Peter Parker where Ben Reilly took Peter's place as Peter Parker so that he could fight crime, although that's a case of why
then they're gonna
you can both fight crime equally.
Well, then they'll have to introduce Ben Reilly in the movie then, or later down the line. But
well, yeah, the whole trial of Peter Parker story was stupid because they had.
In the 90s animated show, like they had Peter Parker Kingpin framed Peter Parker for something. Murdoch came in and defended him in court. He didn't realize Parker and Spider-Man were one and the same, so Daredevil thinks Spider-Man really did frame him until he fights Spider-Man to try and clear Parker's name. But then he finds out like Spider-Man is on his side and all that.
Well, I don't buy that Matt Murdock wouldn't find out.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that the 90s animated show?
I didn't see that, but I was just going to say I don't buy that Matt Murdock wouldn't be able to figure out who they are from meeting them both because he's got super senses.
I think they did that because the animated show, they wanted to keep something with it. But if Murdock ever meets Parker and then meets Spider-Man, maybe he doesn't figure out immediately, but he would piece together clues eventually in the way they act. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
He figures it out over time, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So there have been talks about possibly making some sort of Daredevil whole theatrical movie or Punisher theatrical movie or whatever.
I think Punisher works better because basically I think he works better as a movie though, honestly, because he's established here now. Maybe as a movie because make it like a serious 80s action movie because really all you have to do is have him do hacking work with his friend Microchip, then going after the guys and shooting him a lot.
The movie could be big. I was going to say the movie could be the origin. It could be like a war movie and then end with the origin.
Oh yeah, that's what I like. That's actually my idea for Deathstroke in the DC movies. Like it goes over Deathstroke like in whatever his nationality is based on whoever the actor is playing him. Like he's Canadian if I have Sutherland playing him, or he's British if I have Statham playing him, or American if Denzel Washington plays him. So, like he's
I'm sorry, it's just
with his buddy.
I can't picture Denzel playing Slade right now. I mean, it would work.
Some people suggested him to me. Some friends of mine suggested, hey, what about Denzel Washington playing him? And it's stuck in my head for some reason. So like. He's basically in war. He's learned like ancient samurai ways or whatever martial arts, whatever you want to do, along with his war buddy Billy Wintergreen. So they're fighting in war as advanced special agents. Wintergreen, he dies in battle. You know Wintergreen is, right?
Yeah, I know.
Like he's his butler in the comics, but Wintergreen actually dies in battle. Wilson feels like the government let Wintergreen down, and they let all their soldiers down. So what's the point in continuing being a soldier? Then he defects. He finds out it was actually a conspiracy to have Wintergreen killed because Wintergreen was secretly investigating some corrupt officials.
Hang on.
So,
Isn't this the plot of Metal Gear Solid 3?
No, that's not entirely what it is. Okay, this is like a corrupt officials within like whichever nation's government he works for. He finds out they're trying to smuggle some. He finds out they're trying to smuggle some guns secretly to the enemy forces and endanger the troops simply because they wanted some cash, and they use the cash to benefit their own lifestyles. But the cash is also used of paying off their nation's debts in some ways. And I'm still hashing out final details, but basically Deathstroke goes on a killing spree, killing all those guys. Then he becomes a mercenary, offering his services for whoever can afford it. But he's kind of like against working for that nation's his birth nation's government again.
That's actually pretty cool. That was sort of the idea I had for maybe like a Punisher origin movie, but without the conspiracy, more just like the.
I know why you said there's a similarity to Metal Gear Solid because mercenary and all that, but it just feels like what's logical for Deathstroke for me. And I'm not trying to rip off Metal Gear or whatever, but it just feels like what's logical for Deathstroke because it just feels like what's logical for his character and how he would progress as a character. That just feels like what he would do. And besides, Kojima rips off almost anyone he can get with a lot of references in his stuff, so why... So,
John Carpenter, James Bond.
And I think he referenced some superhero movie in one of the games. I don't remember.
Well, anyways, like I was...
Kojima rips off everything and somehow makes it awesome, even though it's obviously a ripoff, so...
I was just going to say...
Why can't... So people can rip off him if they want to, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, anyways, that was basically...
Besides, Deathstroke came first.
Yeah, that was a more complex version of the idea that I had for like a Punisher origin movie, where, they could mention his commanding officers. They could sort of surreptitiously mention his commanding officers' illegal dealings, but it wouldn't be like a government conspiracy to just be like sort of a corruption thing, Yeah, because they already mentioned that.
I'm still debating for Deathstroke whether having it be a government conspiracy or some low level guy like a lieutenant, like a idiot lieutenant who just out of college who spouts some philosophical nonsense because why not?
Yeah, that works. The whole government conspiracy thing works more for Deathstroke than it does for the Punisher. I think it's more like sort of a low level mafia based kind of thing.
Yeah, because Deathstroke has always been philosophical. Deathstroke has always been philosophical in what he does. He's always been more advanced, and there's no way he lets some. And there's no way he would let some. He's too smart to let some low-level idiot lieutenant who's somehow higher than him in ranking because because Wilson is a sergeant or whatever, to outsmart him and kill his best friend or whatever.
Right. It would have to.
It has to work higher up.
Yeah, it'd have to be a larger scale. It has to work
higher up, but beyond Deathstroke's security clearance. He's too intelligent. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. You'd have to, for the Punisher, you'd have to set up everything, the mafia stuff that
for the Punisher movie.
The lead up
for the Punisher movie. Don't have him be the Punisher yet. Focus on his time during the war, during that battle, in the Hindu Kush. Focus on it. Focus on his time in Iraq and Afghanistan, building up his skills, building up his skill set, showing him becoming the warrior that he is. Then you end with him coming home. You show the events with his wife and kids. Then it ends. They're in the carnival. Gunshots erupt. Then cut to black.
And then you lead into the Punisher, a Netflix series.
Yeah, don't show his family getting shot. Just show the three Just don't even show the three gang member. Don't even show the three gang groups showing up.
No, just the gunshots and cut to black.
Just have Frank Castle show up with his family, set up the picnic basket, But immediately when they're about to start eating, gunfire, and then get cut to black immediately when a gunshot goes off.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we don't need to see a bunch of gang groups shooting each other at the end, and we don't need to see Castle's kids getting murdered. We already know that's going to happen. Do it how the Force Awakens did it. Don't try and give us another "I am your father" moment. Just basically say your father, Han Solo. Just do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do that. It'll be good, and then go into the Netflix series because, it.
Yeah.
He's basically DC's Batman. He's basically Marvel's Batman. Sorry.
Or maybe the Netflix series does. Or maybe the Netflix series does what I just mentioned.
Well, yeah, it would have to cover about 4 episodes, but it would work.
Well, you're breaking up.
It'd have to cover about 3 or 4 episodes, but yeah, that would work.
Yeah, like season 1 would be entirely focusing on Castle's time in the war, and the last episode would be he finishes up his last job in the war, he reunites with his family, and then cut to black gunshot, and that's what leads into Daredevil season 2.
Why didn't I think of that? That's brilliant. That would work. That would work incredibly well. It would be like the entirety of Daredevil season 1. He didn't even put the mask on, he didn't even put the suit on until the very end.
Yeah. Like, season 1 of Punisher, he's not the Punisher at all. Kind of like how in season 1 of Daredevil, Wilson Fisk is not the Kingpin just yet. Season 1 of Punisher, he's signed up, he's gone through college, he's gone through ROTC, because that's how he becomes a lieutenant. That's how you become an officer in the army. He goes, serves in Iraq and Afghanistan after 9/11, and he's part of the he comes in after Tora Bora in Afghanistan. Then he eventually gets transferred to Iraq when the troop surge happens and all that. The episodes cover his missions in Iraq as he built up his reputation in the armed forces as kind of a badass in the Marines. And the last episode is his last mission there. He sort of finds out about what Clancy Brown and whatever else was happening. But he comes home. We do that thing where we do the whole inspiring YouTube video where you see him meet his daughter again, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I'd say cut out the bits of him finding that out, because he didn't find out anything like that until the very end.
Until after.
Yeah.
Yeah, until after. Now I remember. Yeah, but like I said, make it like a war series. Make it like kind of like Saving Private Ryan or whatever.
It'd be more like the series Band of Brothers then.
Oh yeah, Band of Brothers. Make it like a Band of Brothers show. Have Frank establish relationships. Explore the characters of the men in his unit. Explore the characters. Maybe he feels guilt that he couldn't save
You're breaking up, man.
Like, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Have some of the people in his unit die after you've spent so much time developing them and you've come to grow attached to them. They die, and it happens in a way where Frank feels like he could have saved them, and yet he didn't. Where he feels like he's guilty in some way because he let them die. And then in Punisher season 2, that's after Daredevil season 2, after those events, his war buddies keep catching up what's happened with his surviving war buddies catch up with what happened. They try to find Frank and try and see if, depending on what their attitudes are, they either want to help Frank in his crusade against crime, or they want to tell him try and convince him to get out of it.
Now, you know what the Punisher's hallway scene was?
What?
The season 1 hallway scene would be the fight in the prison. And his second hallway scene...
They already had that in season 2, though. In season 2 of Daredevil.
No, I know that. That's what I'm saying. That was his first hallway scene. His second would be that siege battle that they talked about in Daredevil season 2.
Oh, in Hindu Kush, yeah.
Yeah.
When Clancy Brown mentioned that could be like his hallway scene. Like he goes Rambo on everyone.
Yep.
You have him go Rambo and just have Sylvester Stallone cameo as one of the terrorists. Why not?
I got more bullets than you got chances.
I got more bullets and you got chances. And he dies.
Yeah.
Or maybe Stallone is part of the unit.
That would be cool, too.
That is, however, he might be in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, so that could complicate things.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
So before we sign off,
or maybe maybe after that, Stallone is like a general. Stallone is a general, a U.S. Army general. He gets wind of the whole event, and he awards Castle the medal or whatever. He's the one who presents Castle the medal.
that would be cool. So now that we're wrapping the show up for the day, hey, I guess, because we've talked about pretty much everything we can. Let's just ask, how do you think that they're going to bring US-1 into Guardians of the Galaxy? Or US Ace, as he's called nowadays.
Which character is this?
US Ace, US-1.
I don't think I know about this.
Ulysses Solomon Archer, he has a...
I think I know what you mean. Hang on, let me... Ulysses Solomon Archer. Hang on. Okay, Ulysses Archer. Okay, I've never heard of him until now, honestly. Hang on.
He has a truck that flies around in space.
Okay. It mentions here he's one of the many applicants to be nanny to Luke Cage and Jessica Jones' daughter. Okay, so maybe he's just some crazy alien, or maybe he's just some crazy alien who...
Oh, he's a human. He's like a domestic guy. He built his...
No, I know.
He built his big rig.
I know that. Maybe he's the human and he gets abducted by aliens, but he loves bringing his like, "Yeehaw, I'm a trucker" thing throughout the galaxy, or he's an alien who loves the whole trucker thing.
There are actually aliens who love the whole trucker thing in US-1 comics, so I don't think that would work all that well. So what I think they'd have to do is, because US-1 has to, I keep calling him US-1,
What?
US Ace encounters the guys where he gets his flight technology from after he decks out his rig with crime-fighting equipment, which is after his brother is killed.
And have Kurt Russell be a badass, because Kurt Russell is always a badass.
Yep. Sue.
Because Kurt Russell is Chris Pratt's dad in this movie now.
Yep.
Which is awesome. I can see it happening, and Kurt Russell is a badass because anyone who's seen anything he's been in knows how much of a badass Kurt Russell is.
Yeah, it's always a shame when he's not badass. I mean,
have you seen the Hateful Eight?
Still haven't yet. Still meaning to.
Oh, you've gotta. He's great in there.
I think
he's great in Escape. And he escaped from New York. I loved him as Snake there. This is not a ripoff of Metal Gear Solid. You stupid fan base. That movie was the inspiration for Metal Gear Solid.
The biggest issue with Sky High was that Kurt Russell was not badass enough in it.
Yeah, and like that Hateful Eight's not his first time with
Tarantino.
With Tarantino. He was in Death Proof also. Also, I know the reason why Kurt Russell is in Furious 7, because the cars are definitely death-proof. I mean, come on, no one dies in that series, and Kurt Russell is like CIA bureaucrat man or whatever they call him. And yeah, they have Kurt Russell be a businessman, be a suit man, basically, which I guess could work. I guess works, but it can work. He can work as a badass. He can work as a business suit man, but he wasn't badass enough. Like, doesn't pull out his gun or actually threaten anyone. You know what I mean?
About the time Furious 8 comes out, we should do some sort of sight-long retrospective of the whole series, and maybe we can put together a podcast about that. Who knows? So
that'd be interesting.
That's it for this week's episode of the OLC podcast.
So I recommend Daredevil Season 2, It's awesome. In spite of how I joke about Daredevil, that's what I call the Ben Affleck movie though, Daredevil, because that movie sucks.
Duh.
And the honest trailer, oh my god, it's the Daredevil. Because Ben Affleck's face. Did you see the honest trailer for the Daredevil movie?
Yeah, that was great.
And like, Ben Affleck's face, oh my god, it's the Daredevil. But anyways, I do recommend Daredevil season 2. It's awesome.
Oh,
That's
one more
it.
question. Do you think Ben Affleck should cameo in Daredevil season 3?
That would be interesting, but I'm not sure he's going to do that because right now he's the best live action Batman we have.
Maybe they could get the guy from the Hulk series to do it. Who knows? Because the Hulk series is where the Hulk, the Trial of the Incredible Hulk movie was where they got the
Lou Ferrigno show. The Lou Ferrigno show. They had a guy show up as they had a guy play Matt Murdock.
yeah, and the ninja costume was the
That's
where they got that
That's
from.
why they had it in season 1. But anyways, the show is awesome. Check it out. It's the best show on Netflix right now. Sorry, House of Cards, but season 3 did give you a drop in quality. And I only hope Daredevil and Jones and Defenders can avoid the curse of season 3 that most shows seem to have.
Yep. I hope that Luke.
Here's hoping for the best.
Yep. Hope that Luke Cage keeps up the momentum. So we'll see you guys next week with Batman vs Superman. For real this time. I'm Alex Shannon.
And I'm Alexander Trevini.
And we'll see you later.